DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
All right, everybody, welcome into Concrete Jungle here, Monday, April 20th. Paul Russo and Kyle Evans here with you. Hey, first and foremost, just want to do a quick kind of like random, I guess, thank you to a lot of people. Last week was our best episode we've had pretty much ever. So shout out to everybody for listening and tuning in last week. Yeah, I think we'll get a little bit more of the same this week in terms of maybe some dystopian viewpoints and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy, Kyle. I was texting you a little bit yesterday, and I was like, man, the Mets make the Yankees look like this like beyond functional gold star of baseball this week. So let's just jump right into it, right? The Mets losers of 11 straight games. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. We've both been around baseball our whole lives, and I know we have seen losing streaks go beyond this in baseball. I don't want to make it sound like it's some like an unseen area, but like for what we thought this Met team was going to be, I don't know if I ever saw them losing even half these games in a row to what we see now. I mean, this is going back now to April 8th against Arizona. And we're talking here obviously on Monday. I think yesterday's game, the walk-off loss to Chicago, just I think kind of puts a bow on just the way the streak has kind of been for the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I thought they played pretty well all around, other than not scoring a lot of runs. They had the lead for almost the entire game, and then sure enough, their closer that they gave a 3-year deal to over $50 million, allows a game tying double, and then they win it in extra innings, and it's just like, man, not only are they now losing 11 straight, they lose in that fashion. I mean, it's got to even be more crushing. And then when you look and they take the field tomorrow, it'll be 2 weeks since their last win. It's hard to believe that a major league team can do this, especially with what's on that roster. This isn't last year's Colorado Rockies or 2 years ago Chicago White Sox. This is a team that has a really high payroll, and when you look around, there are top names on this roster. So for this team to lose 11 in a row, at this point, it's mental. It's got to be like something is going on mentally with all these players. They're just not able to snap out of it. I think Frank Fleming from Barstool is actually right. I don't think they have any heart. I don't see it. Like, I don't see the passion that much. I mean, yesterday was a little better, but look at some of these losses. I mean, 12-4 on Friday, 4-2 Saturday. Like, you would think after a 12-4 loss, they'd come and, maybe put some more effort on that Saturday game. It just didn't seem like that.
Yeah, and to me, the interesting part in this is you mentioned some of the scores here, right? It's not like, yeah, there have been a couple blowouts in this streak. I don't want to make it sound like it's been all within 3 or so runs every time, right? But again, I think to go back to something we talked about last week, right, is like, I think for the most part, you can't blame the pitching here for the most part. Yeah, like like you mentioned, right? Devin Williams is kind of has a Devin Williams pitch and leaves the ball like in a pure contact zone. But like, I, it's funny. Like I talked with my dad about this last week after we got done recording about the Lindor stuff, and he was like, he doesn't have a home run or RBI yet at the time, right? And I'm like, yeah, like it's crazy that you're at least perceived best guy on the roster, offensively at least, isn't producing. And it's not like, yeah, he finally was able to break through with the home run and the RBI and stuff like that. But like, I mean, the notion to me, and again, I get Juan Soto's out, whatever. But like the notion to me that you just can't keep, or you haven't been able to figure it out just yet in terms of like just trying to generate something is just out there. That's where, like, I don't know, maybe this is a better question here for in a couple minutes when we kind of do like a look at the week ahead. But like, I mean, at this point, if you're Carlos Mendoza, to me, I, I look, I'm a Carlos Mendoza fan in the grand scheme of it, but like, part of me does wonder if it does get even more sideways this week. Do we see a quick hook on his tenure as manager of the Mets?
Yeah, I mean, I think if they have like another 1-5 homestand like they had 2 weeks ago, um, I think it should definitely be a possibility. I don't know how you can keep running it with them. I mean, it is only April, so and it'll still only be April when this homestand's over. So I feel like even though the record could get even worse, a change early might not be the worst because you still have several months left to kind of change the course of your season. But 7-15 right now, if they were to have a 1-5 homestand, you're looking at 8-20. And it's hard to believe.
Yeah, and especially you look at the homestand coming up.
Oh, sorry, it's actually a 9-game homestand. I
Yeah,
forgot.
you're good. But it's Minnesota, it's Colorado, it's Washington, and look, it's tough because I think I still know what these teams are for the most part in the grand scheme of it. But like Minnesota's been kind of plucky so far. Colorado's been whatever that step above plucky would be. Same with Washington. I, if we were to even talk last week the way we were talking, like I wouldn't have any worries about these series coming up. But like, I don't know. Like, I don't feel as confident in this team at the moment as even, well, I guess for us, technically 6 days ago when we last talked. And that's just my main hurdle with the Mets right now. Why I bring up the fact that like, do I think it would still be a rash and rush decision to fire Mendoza? Yeah, I think 75% of me would say that. But like the 25% of me sits there and goes like, okay. And mind you, it wasn't as early in the season technically when they did this. But like you think about what the Phillies did a couple of years ago. They fired Joe Girardi and they kind of just let Rob Thompson kind of run the show. And it paid dividends, at least in some immediacy, right? Like the Phillies went from with everybody they had on that team, went from a floundering spot in the NL East to at least in the past couple of years, true contenders in the league as a whole. And I don't know if that necessarily happens for the Mets, but like I think it's worth at least the possibility of discussing and exploring.
Yeah, I mean, again, this isn't like a 5 or 6 game losing streak following, a win streak. This is just how it started the year. And 11 straight. I mean, they've been home, they've been on the road, facing teams under 500, still not getting the job done. So at some point, it's got to just be the message in the clubhouse and the way Carlos Mendoza is coming across. Because it seems like in his press conferences, he has no fire whatsoever. It's kind of laid back, like, oh yeah, it's bad, but how do we change it? There's no, I don't. I feel like he doesn't even raise his voice. I've never heard him get mad at the media. So I
No,
just think
yeah, I
maybe
mean,
a change is needed.
he's very mellow, and that is a good and bad thing, like you're talking about.
Yeah. And then like again, the fact that it's 11 straight, that hasn't happened in Mets history since 2004. And think of all the bad Mets teams. I mean, we talked last week. It's funny that it's always the Mets that, go through this kind of stuff. And well, no, they have not lost 11 straight in 22 years. So this is, I mean, we're approaching history if this keeps going.
Yeah, I was in fourth grade when it happened. '04 is for Mets fans, right? What some see to be a pretty turn point time, right? Rates in Reyes' first full years. I mean, I don't know. And yeah, I mean the tough part for me too in a lot of this, right, is you want to try and shake things up. But like when we talked last week, the Mets, for example, on offense had six qualifying batters for offensive categories, right? Now they're only up to seven. And the guy who was at 300 and Luis Robert is now in a huge slump. He's down to 257. Your leading guy in average is Francisco Alvarez, which, like, say a calendar year ago, you'd probably be like, great, except he's batting 268. And like that's to me where I go back to where I kind of jumped off with like, I don't know how much of this at this point you can still outright, or if you ever could blame on pitching. Like, yeah, they've had moments like we talked about, but like when clearly one half of your club is so glaringly the obvious, like I can kind of maybe forgive Devin Williams hanging a pitch or like David Peterson having a weak ego for a moment. Like it's just one of those things where I don't know, not to do an Aaron Boone thing here and be like it's right in front of us, but like it's just so glaringly obvious about what the issue is. I don't know. We talked about it a little bit last week, and I talked about it off air to you even, Kyle. Like I think if I was in Mendoza's spot, like going into tomorrow, I don't tell anybody what my full plan is, and I just completely like shake up the lineup. Like I don't know if that's something like you put I don't even know, like you have like Mark Vientos bat leadoff and just like let chaos ensue, like stuff like that. But like I would just throw anything at the wall and hope it just makes a difference.
The crazy part is, I was looking. What was it yesterday? Yeah, 19th was yesterday. They did actually shake up the lineup.
Hmm.
Carson Benj was
That's
leading
true.
off, Bobish at second, and then Lindor at third. And clearly, look, they scratched across a 1 run the entire 10 inning game. So again, I still think though that the offense is going to figure it out. There's no way you can go through a full baseball season with the offense looking like this.
Hmm.
Um, but they have to figure it out fast because, I mean, look at some of the game scores as you mentioned. They're not necessarily getting blown out all the time. Problem is, they're putting 1 to 2 runs on the board, and their pitching needs to be near perfect, and they aren't, especially the bullpen of late. So
Hmm.
it's just right now, it kind of seems like just what could go wrong does go wrong, even late in the game with a lead, as I saw yesterday. It's just something like they need to just come out with the homestand tomorrow and get a win, and maybe that'll just somehow flip the switch. Because right now, it's clearly a mental thing. Everyone's in their head. Losing 11 straight, I mean, cannot just turn the page and forget about it. Like people are definitely going home thinking about it, and it's just you gotta just find a win, and I think it'll change everything.
Yeah, and that's something Lindor talked about right post game yesterday was expecting a less than welcoming crowd to City Field tomorrow on Tuesday for that first game of this homestand. And yeah, I have a hard time disagreeing with him. I may, I don't know. Maybe your saving grace if you're a Met fan is I don't know. Maybe there's some crosstown fever with the Knicks in the playoffs for the NBA, I guess, and maybe things get conically toned down. Like I don't know, but look, I don't like looking so much at this early on because like you can't win right the division or the league or the World Series in April, right? But you can certainly hurt your cause in doing so. And the Mets are 8 games back in the NL East of Braves at the top of the standings, which I did not have on my bingo card, admittedly, but nonetheless, um, the Mets find themselves in a hole, and at this point they're tied for the league worst average or league worst record, and it's one of those things where, to me, you look at the early on sample size, right? Like it's hard to imagine the Phillies are going to be in the spot that they are right now as well in division, right? But like look beyond that. Look at the wild card. The NL Central has every team above 500 right now. In the West, you have three of the five, and then the same thing in the East. So I'm not saying right like now this is an end all be all, but like this is my key part about going to this week ahead thing where it's like, yeah, you have to go out at this point And you can't take these games for granted against the Twins and against the Rockies. Like you just can't. And like you've mentioned, Kyle, like they got to get off on the right foot tomorrow. Like they got to, or else, oh man, this might be a long 9 games back in the city for them.
Yeah, I think tomorrow is almost season defining because a win there, you could, gain some momentum at home. A loss, it's just going to probably keep piling up as we kind of see. So yeah, tomorrow is huge. And I just think it starts with the top players. I mean, Lindor and he's got to set the tone. He's got to do what he did last year. The years prior. He's just not his normal self. You could just see it and feel it, and you know he's getting paid, the big dollars. He's got to be the guy to help turn this around and, forget the last 11 games. But also looking here, because this is the first time I've done this, I want to mention it's
Mm.
pretty wild. I just saw that the Mets have second fewest runs scored in the entire league.
Yeah.
72 total runs in 22 games. Only the Royals are worse at 71. So I guess at that point, even though some of the game scores don't always show that, it's a big problem on the offense for this losing streak for the most part.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, not to dunk on these guys, but like you have a starter tomorrow in Minnesota, Simeon Woods Richardson, who look for us, obviously, objectively speaking, good pitcher, but for big league purposes, right? He's 0-3 with a 6.10 ERA. If you can't really kickstart something on offense against Woods Richardson, it's going to be a long, long night looking in the mirror back at you after you lose that game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they definitely have to beat that guy. And
Yeah.
I just was reading this too. This caught me off guard. During their 11 game losing streak, they're being outscored 62-19. How is that even possible? 62 to
Yeah.
19, Major League Baseball, 11 game losing streak. And they're
Yeah.
hitting 145 with runners in scoring position over that stretch. It's hard to believe what we're seeing.
Bring back the bunt, small ball, something, right? Like that's one of those things where it's like you have to figure out something. And at this right now they just have not. So
The good news is they wouldn't be the only team to go on this long of a losing streak and still make the playoffs. It
mhm.
has happened 4 other times, so there's still hope if you want to
Yeah.
read into that.
Yeah. And I mean we talked about with it on a different side of things for the Mets, but if you're gonna do it, why not have it be middle of April and you figure it out after? So all right. Like we mentioned, you look at the opposite side of New York City with the Yankees, all things considered, the Mets make them look like a very competent baseball team right now. And it's kind of funny, right, Kyle? Because when we talked last week, we were talking on Tuesday, and they end up splitting with the Angels 2-2 in that 4 game set, but they sweep Kansas City. Um, the bats finally showed some life, especially towards the tail end of the weekend and stuff like that against Kansas City. Um, where there's a really good prime example, Mets, of what you can do when a presentable opportunity shows up in certain pitching scenarios, obviously. But it's one of those things to me. I look at it and it's one of those like, yeah, clearly things could be a lot worse and everything like that. But for the Yankees, I thought some big takeaways for them, right, was like Judge looks like he's finding that groove a little bit at this point, obviously, right? Um, Ben Rice, we didn't mention it probably as much as we should have last week, and it got really amplified over the course of the past series against Kansas City. But man, with the cool down of Stanton right now and everything else going on in that lineup, where would the middle of that Yankee lineup be without Ben Rice right now? And that's the pretty big thing there. Um, Now, obviously, there's a lot of stuff still to look at and review upon for them, but I think for the Yankees, right, that the bigger stuff that you were hoping to kind of move through and get through, it looked like you kind of worked through it at the end of this past week.
Yeah, it was a pretty good weekend. But then you look at the history and it's just amazing. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but just how much they've owned the Royals over the last, I don't even know how long. It's like every time they play them, they at least win 2 out of 3, and of course another sweep yesterday. Um, but yeah, the offense definitely came alive. all the people that were worried about Aaron Judge, I think they're starting to be a little more quiet.
Hmm.
Ben Rice is, yeah, been unbelievable. And one key thing too about him is not just the home runs. For me, it's the walks. He's actually being patient. 21 walks on the year. Teams are also starting to get really scared of him, and
Yeah.
rightfully so. And I do want to give a shout out to Ahmed Rosario. When he's in the lineup against lefties, he's been killing them. And that's literally why they brought him over even last year at the trade deadline. And he's finally getting more starts and more opportunities, and he's making the most of it. Um, the only guy that I do have a problem with still, I cannot believe this is happening, Jazz Chisholm Jr.
Hmm.
12 for 73 now, hitting 164. Didn't do anything yesterday while everybody else in the lineup seemed to have a day. Even Saturday did nothing.
Hmm.
I don't know what the hell's happening. It's what, nine? How many games did he play? 21 of the 22 games now. I
Yeah.
mean, it's inexcusable at this point if he doesn't get going like tomorrow.
Yeah. Which poses the question, um, because I did want to bring up one more thing about Ben Rice quickly, but for Jazz, I know the Yankees want to do the platoon thing and justifiably so. I mean, outside of his game on Friday, like Ryan McMahon has still been Ryan McMahon. But I, I if you're Boone and the Yankees, I think you have to contemplate having an infield at some point here just to see what happens for a day or to give him a reset of McMahon at third and then probably Caballero at short, Rosario at second. I mean, I think you almost have to at this point. To this, at least you reset Jazz a little bit slash send the message. I think there's also a little bit of that maybe kind of playing into this too. But like, I don't, I don't know. To me, you can't keep having both McMahon and Jazz in the lineup at the same time. And I, to me, at that point, you have to take the defense premium first, which you give the edge to McMahon.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. If they give Ryan McMahon days off, especially against all the lefties that they've been facing, why couldn't Jazz take a seat too for not doing nothing and maybe like a reset? But Boone probably will never do that, especially because it seems to love him. But yeah, you look at his numbers too. I'm just looking here. He has no home runs. 7 of his 12 hits have been singles. It's funny that he, came out and said he wants to be a 50-50 guy, and then you look at the stolen bases, and it's like, I mean, does have 8, but it's more freaking stolen bases than he basically has hits, it seems like.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I don't know. It's bad. But he'll be in the lineup tomorrow. He'll probably play every day in this road
Mhm.
trip.
Yeah.
And hopefully he gets going.
Something, right? Yeah, Ben Rice quickly, his home run he had on Saturday, or one of them. The really was a pitch that the pitch that was down and in kind of reminded me of Teixeira in a lot of ways. And I think for guys like us of that age, Kyle, it's like, oh, if we can get in the hypothetical Ben Rice the ceiling of Mark Teixeira, I think we're going to take that every day of the week.
Yeah. I mean, he's really been unbelievable. Like I said, not just hitting for average. That's the thing, too. You look at the box score, it averages in anything, but you see a 338 batting average with 8 home runs, 18 RBIs, and then on top of that, the walks that I mentioned. And the strikeouts, I mean, he does have 21 strikeouts, but still, he's not even top 3, 4 on the team.
Hmm.
So he's been off to an amazing start after he did have a rough stretch last summer after he was called up. I mean, we mentioned was it last summer? You mentioned it a lot. Yeah, I think it was.
Hmm.
But he's totally like changed his game. I'm sure he worked hard in the off season. Of course, he's probably talking to Judge a lot too. Um, so yeah, I think he's here and he's arrived and he's going to be the guy that the Yankees are going to have over there for a long time.
Hmm. It'd be nice. Be nice. Yeah, this road trip coming up is really interesting for the Yankees. Obviously, they go to Boston, Houston, Texas before coming back home, but I think it's hard to maybe ignore the Cam Schlittler stuff already kind of going on. I mean, I don't know. And look, I'm not trying to do the whole entire like buy-in stuff here, but like I would almost feel like if you're because very clearly it's not the team of the Red Sox, but like the fan base to me, it's just like, why are you poking the bear when the last time you saw this kid, he decimated you? Like I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't be trying to give any more fuel of the fire bulletin board material if I didn't have to a guy who's very clearly already fired up to be pitching in this scenario.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird. And then you look at some of the stuff on Twitter this morning, Jared Carrabez, um, just going at Schlittler, even though there's literally video proof of stuff of him and his buddies, talking about like trying to hurt Schlittler or something. And I don't know, it's dumb. I mean, but
Mm.
that's typical, with the Red Sox and Yankees. I mean, I will say Yankees fans even say it to Red Sox fans. That's the thing. When people talk like this from a fan base, it doesn't represent the whole fan base.
No, no.
So there are good Red Sox fans. There are good Yankee fans. Like it's just who you choose to listen to. And clearly you're choosing to listen to the people that probably don't even watch every game or nearly, multiple games a week, but they're just ready to talk because they just love to get into stuff. So yeah, I'm excited to see Schlittler at Fenway. It's gonna be pretty crazy. I know he's gonna be amped up. The bullpen, he did mention pregame when he's warming up. I mean, that bullpen is very close to the fans. It's going to be interesting
Mhm.
to see if people do decide to do anything with him there. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of videos. So, yeah, it's going to be a big series at Fenway just because it seems like the Yankees lately, the energy's kind of been low. The teams are playing. I mean, the Royals are just not good, at least to start off the season. So, yeah, it's good to have a little bit of the rivalry back, I guess.
Yeah, some turmoil there. So uh obviously, yeah. Um before we kind of really wrap up here, did want to get your thoughts on a couple things here too, Kyle. Yankees minor league trade with Houston over the weekend, bringing in Wilmy Sanchez, who when I looked up, got his scout report was a 5'9" fire hydrant build of a pitcher. Um, Brendan Shoemaker obviously was the piece going to Houston in this deal. And I saw a lot of people trying to connect the dots here. And while maybe an inadvertent play of this is George Lombard gets brought up to AAA, I don't think this was the main purpose of this deal from the Yankees standpoint. I think this was obviously pitching depth more than anything else. We talked about it last week how the Yankees have been rifling through bullpen arms. Um, so I think it was just more depth related. I think, yeah, maybe one of the side effects of this is we do see Lombard and Scranton maybe a hair earlier than anticipated. But like I think this was just a depth move, nothing beyond really that.
Yeah, that's definitely probably it. You're going to see a lot of this too, because yeah, the pitching is being taken away on and off from Scranton, and just throughout the minor leagues, guys are going to be eventually promoted and stuff like that. I even saw the report the other day that they were scouts were at Max Kranik's bullpen, a former Met who's been injured. He had a right elbow strain last July, and they're looking at him, potentially to sign him for depth. And I think that's just going to happen a lot. You're going to see guys for just coming over depth moves, maybe even guys that'll appear in a few games and they'll just be DFA'd. Kind of just think of Richard Lovelady or Dick Lovelady.
Dickey.
That's kind of what we're going to probably see with the Yankees. We're going to see a guy.
Yeah.
I feel like eventually we're going to see a guy that's going to be constantly back and forth with the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Dickie Lovelady, potential friend of the program anyway. Syracuse to potentially Rochester once Washington gets done with him on the 40 man. So, um, yeah, either way. And plus, hey, mentioned Lombard. He took Zach Wheeler deep yesterday, and Wheeler, what is probably Wheeler's final rehab start, the way it seems, before he rejoins the Phillies. So,
And let's know he struck
yeah,
out Anthony Volpe twice.
yeah. So,
He'll be
I was
back
trying.
soon.
I was trying to look on the brighter side of things, Kyle. So, one last quick thing before we head out. Garrett Cole did make a rehab assignment start once again here. I don't know. It's so crazy to me that like he really is trying to trending quicker to rejoin the major league roster at this point. Um, I don't I, I don't know. It's always tough. I would imagine he'll probably get the bulk of it with Somerset in Double A, but um, I mean I don't know. The Yankees have been kind of like one of those teams that have adopted like we're just kind of gonna put him wherever we think it just might be best for the moment. So who knows what fully happens there, but I'd imagine we'll probably see more with Somerset in these rehab starts than anywhere else.
Yeah, I do agree, and it is kind of crazy how much he's already, how far along he is in his rehab. I mean, hitting 96 the other day, pitching multiple innings. Still people have to realize, oh, it's going to be spring training buildup. I would still say at the end of May, final week of May, um, first week of June. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting, and then it's just kind of odd that he started a rehab assignment before Carlos Rodon, even though Rodon's probably going to start his this week.
Mhm.
But getting those guys back is definitely going to be huge. Ryan Weathers, I mean, he did have a great outing yesterday, but again, the Royals, the fewest runs in the entire league. I mean, come on. Before that, he's look what he did against the Angels. I'd much rather
Hmm.
have one of those guys slotted in over
Yeah, I don't disagree, but also a good spot to bounce back. Kind of have mentioned it without saying it to a degree, but yeah, yeah. Very similar in a way. I don't think the Yankees or the Mets. I don't think either one of them are in on the Giolito stuff either here, but it'll be interesting to kind of see how that stuff plays out because I know like his traditional numbers look good, but like everything else behind that was like very like telltale of like probably don't want to sign this guy type stuff. So more power to you if you do go after him. But either way, yeah, that should do it for the podcast this week. So we'll dip out at this point, come back again. Yeah, next Monday, right? I think we should be good on that front.
there. Yeah, we should be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going out of state. I think the Sabres, if they are, Kyle will just be over Zoom again in that case. So happy though. I know this is a baseball podcast, everything, but happy that you were able to experience that, Kyle, yesterday on Sunday up at KeyBank. And yeah, how about for the Sabres? Do a quick second on them, Mike. I will give you the platform for it.
Well, I can tell you that they're the best team in New York right now.
That's true. That's true.
um, No, but yeah, it was great. Definitely. I mean, I've been to a postseason game in the Bronx. A Friday night game. It was crazy. Loved it. But this just topped it. Not even just take away the comeback at the end, going into the game. I mean, driving to the game. I mean, just all over the streets. I mean, I couldn't even get through some areas. And just the chanting, the hollering, and the viral videos of the people rollerblading and punching
Mhm.
the Boston dummy and just
By by the way, leave it to the guy in the Russellinen jersey to be the one who tripped over and fell.
yeah, and you could tell because it was a 7:30 face-off, well, heck, it
Oh
was
yeah.
7:42, that everyone was just drunk early on in the day, and I mean, they were just out there all day. But yeah, and then the comeback, I mean, I sat there at 2-0, and I was like, well, figures, I know I'll say this, I'll admit this, figures Buffalo finally makes the playoffs in a typical Buffalo fashion. They're not even going to score a goal.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think I said that out loud, and literally the Tate Thompson goal happened, and I still didn't feel really good though, because I felt like that was just like a lucky bounce behind the net, but then no, I mean the momentum completely shifted, and then at 2-2, I was like, oh, now we're gonna lose even more heartbreaking fashion because they're gonna go to overtime, and I'm gonna get out of here at like midnight or 1 a.m. and it's more crushing, but no. 3-2, it was just crazy. My ears definitely were ringing. I couldn't hear anything. I was just trying to soak it all in.
It's awesome. It's kind of funny too, this the way sports are, right? We always look from the historical perspective. I'm like, yeah, of course this is like the first time for everything since 2011, right? For the Sabres. But like I was just like, oh yeah, Thomas Vanek is a name I've not heard in quite literally that long. So but yeah, good stuff. And of course, for especially maybe on the Yankee side of things here, beat the Bruins. So
Yeah, it's
maybe
gonna
a
be
good
a
sign.
Boston
Maybe a good
doubleheader
sign.
tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe a good sign for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll head out of here on that note. Good luck, obviously, to the Mets, Yankees, and even Sabres this week here as we trundle along. And we will talk again next Monday. Everybody, appreciate everybody for listening and tuning in. You can find Concrete Jungle here on fingerleaks1.com, the F1 YouTube channel, and all major podcasting platforms for the audio only feed. Enjoy the week, everybody. Talk again next week.